Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and this story comes from Birmingham. It's actually a follow-up because today the police have released CCTV footage of the two teenagers that were convicted of the murder of a pensioner called Robert Morrison. This story is quite complicated because they didn't directly murder him. He died several days after what happened, and they have been convicted of his murder. Today on the 17th of February, Knowles has been jailed to serve a minimum of 19 years for the murder of Robert. He was served 9 years for robbery, 1 year and 14 days for possession of a knife and cannabis, all of them to run concurrent. Ismaila Mohamed has been jailed for life to serve a minimum of 17 years for murder and 9 years for robbery. They were found guilty of murder after they assaulted and robbed a Birmingham pensioner back in 2018. In December, Robert Morrison tragically died after catching pneumonia 6 days after being robbed and assaulted by the two teenagers. He was 69 years old. The pair broke into his house on Grove Road in King's Heath on the 10th of December. They viciously beat him in order to steal his bank cards, mobile phone and jewellery. Mr Morrison's neighbour informed the emergency services of the robbery, and he was taken to hospital the following day with significant bruising to his face and body, and was found to have 3 broken ribs. He was discharged later the same day. However, the neighbour alerted the police again when he was concerned for the elderly man. Police forced their way into the house where Mr Morrison lived, and he was found in immense pain. He was taken back to hospital but died just days later. A forensic post-mortem revealed that he died from pneumonia that he contracted as a direct result of fractured ribs. Injuries that were sustained in the beating given by Mohamed and Knowles. Knowles was identified after police checks on the property saw that Mr Morrison had suffered a history of abuse with the defendant. Officers attended his bail hostel in Smethwick, and during a search of the property, Knowles returned and was arrested. Footprints recovered from the scene and phone analysis from Knowles' phone led detectives to Mohamed, who had previously lived at the same hostel with Knowles. A key fob to Mr Morrison's property was found in Mohamed's room, alongside 3 watches that belonged to the victim. Mr Morrison's phone was also found at Knowles' address. Following a 4-week trial, Knowles of Waterloo Road, Smethwick, and Mohamed of Stirling Road, Edgbaston, both aged 20 years old at this time, were found guilty of murder at Birmingham Crown Court. Mohamed was found guilty of robbery, and they both pleaded guilty to the burglary, and they were sentenced on the 22nd of January. Detective Inspector Wes Martin from the Forces Homicide Team said Mr Morrison was a frail man and he used a mobility scooter, and it would have been obvious to anyone that he was vulnerable and unable to defend himself. And what has emerged from the video footage that has now been released is that these boys actually preyed upon him. They was watching him in the pub on the evening, and then they followed him home, and when they broke in and robbed him initially, because they couldn't get as much money as they wanted from his bank account, they came back again and beat him mercilessly. All of this while on CCTV, and this is what I'm saying to the young children about thinking about the actions you're committing and the consequences to them, because you won't get away with what you are doing. So I send my condolences to the family of Robert Morrison and major respect to the neighbour of him who stuck up for him, because if it wasn't for that neighbour, they probably wouldn't have found his body for a considerable amount of time. So I really appreciate you joining me for this story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. There's plenty more news on the way, and don't forget to catch up with our previous episodes on the channel. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.